Hey there, it's Brian, the creator of Smart Connections and Smart Connect, the GPT that allows you to connect your notes to ChatGPT without uploading all of your data to the cloud. I wanted to address a common question that I receive, which is, why isn't the Smart Chat, the AI chat in Obsidian provided by Smart Connections, why isn't it returning a specific piece of information that I requested? And furthermore, why is the Smart Connect GPT able to answer that same question? So it has to do, number one, with the capabilities and how they differ between the two chats. So the Smart Chat in Obsidian exclusively uses Semantic Search. While this is something that will change in the future, and it will become more like the Smart Connect GPT that has access to keyword search and also the ability to look at your different folders and then request specific notes. For the time being, the Smart Chat in Obsidian can only perform what's called a semantic search. And that's important to know because when you go to, search something, like, let's see, what's my name? There's a good chance that it won't be able to find that information because the way semantic search works is that it's looking for content that's similar to some hypothetical piece of content. So let's see if we can come up with a good example here. Just to make sure things are working, I like to use this question, who am I? And as you can see, it retrieved some context, and it came up with some details, based on my notes. Like I'm a person that's working on these different things. I work on clarifying my purpose specifically. But if I said, what is my name? Number one, okay, there we go. So it was not able to give me my name specifically. Meanwhile, we have the GPT version, so we could say Smart Connect Obsidian, what is my name? And there's a key difference here in addition to the semantic search, and that is that the GPT can actually make multiple requests. What is my name? So I guess it didn't get my alignment note, so that threw it off a bit. Now it's trying a keyword search with my name is, and then it seems it found these chat history files where it was able to say, your name is Brian P. Okay, so something to note here is these are two separate actions taken by the AI. Meanwhile, when we go up to this Smart Chat, you have this one set of context that was retrieved. So it's possible that in that one chunk of context that your name exists and the AI is able to respond in that context, but chances are that's not going to happen. And that's why the Smart Chat in Obsidian is best for when you have a large amount of context and you want to condense that. You might think of this as summarizing. So I have a whole bunch of notes on my backstory. I guess it doesn't look like too much, but these are pretty extensive notes. I have content, of a lot of things. So when I say let's try another model. So that was the Claude HiQ model. Let's try something a little more powerful. Let's give it Opus. So now, who am I? And now, when it finds context that it deems to be related to who I am. Okay, so let's try that again. When it retrieves the context, it's taking what it learns from these notes and essentially condensing it to answer the question. Okay, well, maybe we're having a little trouble with the Claude model, so let's go and try GPT-4o, and this will be comparable to the Smart Connect GPT. However, this is only a one-step context retrieval. Meanwhile, as you saw with the GPT, it went through multiple steps. So it seems like in this case it pulled up context from these notes, a little bit from my storybook outline, but also some notes. And in case you can't see, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. So pulled in these notes to answer the question, but in this case it pulled in notes that are about narrative identity, which is a way of describing your identity with story. So let's try a little bit different of a question. What's my backstory? And what we'll see here is that we're taking a large amount of content and reducing it. But what we're not doing is we're not picking out a specific piece of information. So I'm sure if we read through that, it would be something I could agree with, which would represent my backstory. So another way you could think about this is like a needle in a haystack. Semantic search is great if you know the exact needle that you're looking for, so that's keyword search. You know exactly what you're looking for. But semantic search is you have an idea of what you're looking for and you want to reduce the size of the haystack. I think that's a pretty good way of comparing the two. And the Smart Chat in Obsidian, like I said, currently it exclusively uses semantic search. So it's best to be used for when you have a question about something where there's a lot of content in your notes and you're trying to get all of that content condensed into a smaller haystack. And one of the reasons why it only retrieves the context once is because every piece of context, when you're using an API, every piece of context has a cost. You're probably aware that you pay per token for both the input and the output of the API. So it makes a lot more sense to be retrieving more context and then saying, okay, let's try again and get even more context when you're using the Smart Connect GPT. And that's because with the Smart Connect GPT, you're not paying per token. You pay a monthly fee for ChatGPT, and you essentially have unlimited tokens. So this means that the AI can sort through a lot more context. It can browse files just to see if something might be in there and continue on to the next file in case it isn't there. And while I hope that all of the prices come down on the API such that it makes sense to implement those multi-step searches in the Obsidian Smart Chat, right now I'm not putting that really high on the priority list because it really quickly gets to be expensive, especially if you're using one of the top tier models. You could easily, be charging multiple dollars for a single conversation when you're pulling in lots of context in the Smart Chat. So also on that point, I personally, as you saw when I first started this out, I really like using the Claude Haiku model because it's really cheap and it also has a 200,000 token context limit. So even in situations where you may think you need a more expensive, higher powered model, when you have that much context, when you can put 200,000 tokens into the prompt, these lower powered models like Haiku actually become really powerful. So for Smart Chat, I recommend a lower powered model. And for using the higher powered model, I recommend using ChatGPT with access to the 4.0 model. And, so far I've been having a lot of success with that setup. But just to recap, the difference between semantic search, which is what's powering the Smart Chat, and keyword search, which the ChatGPT GPT has access to, is that one is able to find that needle in a haystack, and the other does a better job at reducing the size of the haystack. Well, I hope that clears things up a little bit for you, and thanks for watching.